Hello, friends. We will try to create a more vibrant and effective image by slightly altering one of the render images we have taken in Photoshop, friends. Normally, you can see that the resolution of the image we have taken is 2K by looking at the image size from the image section. The resolution value is 72 zoom pixels. Look, it appears as 2K here. Actually, whether this image has a blue tint or a yellowish tint from the render images we have taken doesn't change much, but a slight dominance here allows us to change it, friends. In summary, we can also ensure that the texture overlays are more dominant. My Photoshop is in Turkish because I use Adobe originally, so it chose the Turkish language according to our country, supposedly, friends. You have the option to change it, but since it's a bit troublesome, I didn't bother much with it. But for now, when you come to the camera raw filter from the sky filter section, you can change many parts. You don't need to know Photoshop. If you say auto, it automatically adjusts towards the dominant color as soon as you say auto. Or from this profile section, you clicked on these 4 profiles next to the color, friends. Look, there are different dominances in the modern section here. Look, and it changes the tone to a slight blue dominance, or more like a transitional dominance. Normally, then this is my tone. Look, when I come here, I can see different tones. Look, this one is more dominant, friends, as a dream. For example, when you enter here, you can change the amount. So you can change the dominance here. I don't want any of these. I said, back again, friends. Look, now let me go to the color section from this part here. I came to my own profile section. Here, friends, in the light section, look here at the top. It says exposure in the exposure section. If you feel that the light is low, you can slightly increase these parts. So it's beneficial to increase it just a little bit, friends. In the contrast section, if you want the dominance of colors and textures, the dominance of light tones, the increase of light on shadows, look, pay attention to this part in the shadows, friends. Look, the light in the shadow is increasing, but since there is equal light everywhere, it's actually not very appropriate to increase it too much, because the light in the dark areas and the light where the light falls here would be different, because naturally it needs to be this way. You need to adjust its toning, so there's no need to increase it too much. Increasing the light concerning the whites, I mean, look, when I increase the whites in this part, the areas close to white tones, you see it causes a blowout, or the increase in blacks, or having lower light in the blacks. We can work on these by familiarizing our eyes and choosing whichever seems more suitable to us. Generally, friends, when doing a process here, I don't recommend doing Photoshop after long render work in Photoshop, because your eyes get tired with your concentration breaks, and at the final stage, where you should be making the impactful effect, you can't do it here. It would be better to do it after taking a short break. In the color section, friends, in this color section, if there's a slight yellowish tint, you can slightly pull it to the left to achieve a light blue. Look, we achieve a nice tone with numbers like -3, -4. You can break the slight yellowish tint given by the sun. I won't play around with these too much, but this temperature value is sufficient for us. Look, when I increase it, exaggerate it, or decrease it, this is the effect we get, friends. -3, like, -1, -2, -3 will do the job for us, friends. The important part in the effects section is this texture part. The texture part actually increases the clarity of the textures here, as the name suggests. Friends, look, I'm going to exaggerate a bit now. Did you see how exaggerated the situation became? Here, actually, something like this might be possible. If you take it to the Color ID channel and select only this part, you can separate this section, friends. But as I said, there's no need to increase these too much. Increasing it like this will be sufficient. Look, it's the same in the clarity section. In the clarity section, it actually increases the clarity and makes the contrast a bit more dominant. This is a bit according to your preference. I mean, some people prefer a softer image while others prefer a more dominant image. It's a matter related to this. This curve part is the effect we use in Photoshop or Vray in the frame buffer. Friends, look, this light, we can create the light naturally from the inside. For example, from here or here, I can leave it with an effect like this, as you can see. This is the old version, and this is the new version. Like this, friends, you can do something like this. I mean, there are a lot of details here, friends. By using these, you can bring your image from this part to that part. Look, it's more vibrant, as you can see. There's a more vibrant effect, especially in the TV section. But when you click OK here, the process is completed, as you can see. There are veined flags appearing here. I actually had a PNG, but if you save this image in TIFF or JPEG format, you'll encounter a nicer image, friends. Actually, our image looks quite clear and high quality, even though it's in 2K. I would reluctantly like to get 4K, but in Vray, 4K really takes a long time. Even this took an hour and a half on my computer, friends, in single frame renders. Let's see which different frames we took last. Well, there's the 04, so there's something different. There is 03. I had shown it. In 04, we took a frame like this, as you can see, friends. So as I said, this is, of course, old. I had changed this part here, friends. For example, if you want to perform a very quick operation from the filter section here, if you want to quickly provide a visual to the client, you can come to the auto section here and slightly increase the exposure and then adjust the warmth in the color section by pulling it a bit to this side. And depending on how the toning looks to you, make changes accordingly, friends, by doing it this way. And then if you select Smart Sharpening from the sharpening section, in the filter section, well, here, look now, lakum. Let's get a bit closer here. Look, this is the old version and this is the new version, friends, much clearer. So this amount section actually determines our sharpening amount for us. Look, when I press on it, it looks blurry, and when I release it, it looks sharper. Let me increase this a bit. Did you see? But increasing it too much is not good, so it's enough to keep it around here. The radius determines the distribution according to the object. When I say OK, it actually makes distant objects appear clearer, friends. An important part. I mean, most people who use Photoshop probably know this, but I wanted to explain it anyway for beginners or those who are new to Photoshop, friends. In this way, we can get our images in higher quality more beautifully. As I said, taking renders frame by frame is more logical, friends. We currently have a render in progress. Look, I took a render from above, a bird's eye view render. Renders really take a long time in Vray, friends. By taking our renders this way and doing small edits in Photoshop, then actually part of the work happens here. This is the Vray frame buffer window, friends. So part of the work happens here. By changing and adding these, we can alter our toning and work, friends.